perspective, higher level. This is the altitude shift with the antes. Hello, everyone. I am Sandra McKnight, and welcome back to the show. Today, we have a very special guest here. She is going to talk about her project, A Bite of Reality, which is real world financial literacy.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the show. So, can you
Thank you.
introduce yourself and tell the viewing and listening audience what it is that you do?
Absolutely. My name is Rachel Caballero. I am the Community Development and Public Relations Manager at True West Credit Union. Credit Union started here in the Valley in 1952, so we serve all over Phoenix. And part of my job is to do financial education out in the communities. So we have this really great program called Bite of Reality,
Yes.
which is an experiential financial simulation that we take out to schools, nonprofit organizations, youth groups, and we get to walk all the participants through the program so that they can live a day in the life of an adult that has to make those big decisions. And then when they need help and when they run out of money, the credit union's there to help them.
Oh my goodness, where were you when I was in high school? I probably would have been a financial genius if I had had help like that.
Same.
And I feel like this is something that our students, especially our high school students, they really need this because I don't think they understand the real world and what it's going to be like. They're used to mom and dad providing the safety net, the financial safety net, and taking care of everything. And I just don't think they are ready. And it's going to be a rude awakening, but here we go.
It's called A Bite of Reality for a reason.
Yes.
So I'll tell you that. So much of our youth right now is leaning to AI and TikTok for their financial advice.
Yep.
Which, while there might be great advice out there, that's not where we want them going. It's not going to provide them the most sound advice. So they get to get a persona where they learn who they are, what their job is, same with their spouse. Mm-hmm. They all get a child, different ages.
Okay.
And they all have some kind of debt, whether it be student loans or credit card debt. Mm-hmm. So they've got debt during the program. And then they have to go through, based off of that persona, and make decisions like purchasing a vehicle, buying a house, kid care, clothing, personal goods, groceries. You name it, everything that we face as an adult. And it really, really opens their eyes to how the real world is going to be. After the simulation, we do a debrief and we get to talk to the students and say like, hey, what was the most surprising thing that you learned out of that? And they're like, life is expensive. Kids are expensive. Don't have kids. Just adopt older ones, and they are all very, very surprised.
Wow.
And I think in our youth, well, mine personally, finances weren't talked about on a regular basis. No. It was always behind closed doors where mom and dad would have the discussion.
Right.
And so it wasn't really until I grew up and got my first job that I kind of started understanding. But even then, back then, they used to give credit cards to high school students, and they would just sell them on the most that they could give them for the limit without any education of how to properly use that credit card and ways to build your credit in a positive note so that you're set up for success.
Wow. So my next question is, why does financial literacy matter, in your opinion?
Financial literacy. For everything. Finances are people's lives. There's so many different aspects of finances when you're talking about, the here and now, the day to day, then retirement, what you want that to look like. There's credit, which touches every aspect of people's lives. And that one little number, that silly number, determines how much they're going to pay, what their interest rates are going to be, how much they're going to pay for insurance, a lot of times whether they can get a job or not. And so financial education is really building that foundation so that we can educate the next generation of consumer to make better choices.
And so many people think it's just about money, but in my opinion, as an adult, as I became older and wiser, I realized that it's a life skill.
100%.
So,
and all those skills that we have to learn. And we've got to learn somewhere.
And I didn't learn like you didn't learn when you were, younger, because it was taboo to kind of talk about your money and your finances in the family. The parents took care of that and talked about that, but they didn't discuss things like that with the children. So I never knew, like,
Yeah. And then they didn't have programs in school for it.
right.
So there was no financial education in schools. There was like maybe an econ class
Yeah.
that was very low level.
Yeah.
Kimberly Yee, when she got elected, she actually made Arizona one of the states that requires some type of finance class in order to graduate high school, which I think was amazing. The bad part is that I don't think the teachers got the education that they needed to educate their students.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where we step in as a credit union and as an organization and say, hey, let us cover that gap for you. Let us come in and do these workshops. Let us teach them about the importance of building an emergency savings right now while they're living at home, instead of just blowing all their money and then being in their first apartment with all these expenses and nothing to show for it.
Well, I teach freshmen, high school freshmen, and I called on you for your expertise because I felt that it was important, and I wanted to at least expose the students to something financial and, to try to help them, because I don't want them to keep going, 4 more years, 3 more years, and then get out in the real world and boom, it just hits you. So
Yeah, it does. It hits you right in the face.
so now we're going to talk a little bit about the simulation. Tell us how it works.
Okay, so like I said, you get a persona that tells you who you are, what you're going to run through. And then it's all app based. So it's really easy. And if there are students that do not have some kind of device to run the platform on, we will actually bring Kindles in that they can check out for the experience for the day.
Okay.
But they just swipe left or right and they go to a table. And at the table, we have volunteers there. There's 9 different stations, including the credit union. So they go to the stations, and there's a little sheet on the table that tells them what their options are for that station. For example, kid care, they have to make a few different decisions. They can either choose daycare or they can choose mom to watch the kid.
Okay. That'll be cheap.
I mean, it'll be cheap, but how reliable is mom?
Yeah.
How reliable is grandma? You know? A lot of times they have their own lives, or, a lot of times they have ailments where they can't watch little kids. Not only that, but they're not getting acclimated into that social environment that teaches them how to learn and how to share and how to experience with other kids.
Right.
They're just kind of hanging out and watching grandma on Pinterest or whatever.
Yeah. They need that
so-
social interaction.
100%. So they've got to make that decision. Then they've got to make the decision on, okay, clothes, toys, things that we're going to need. And then the app actually charges them for formula and diaper automatically based off of their age. The transportation and car tables. Those are great tables because that's where we can teach them about their credit score, because every participant gets a credit score with their persona. And so they understand that with a lower credit score, you might not be able to buy a great car.
So does it help them distinguish between a want and a need? It helps them?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So they learn after they go through the simulation, which almost all of them have to come to the credit union
to
for
get money.
help because they run out of money.
Because
they splurge a little bit too much. And so they learn how to sacrifice. And the credit union table will go through it with them, look at the expenses that they've already made, and then say, okay, well, what do you do for a living? What's your situation? What's going on? Okay, then maybe going out to a fancy restaurant every night doesn't really fit the budget if we're not able to afford transportation for our children to get to and from school and practice and whatever they have.
So do they already have a job when they start the simulation? They're assigned a particular career?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
I hate I missed it, but I had a personal situation with my mother. But I heard it was fabulous. The kids talked about it. I saw all the pictures. I saw them interacting and going to the different stations. So it looked like it would have been
so
fun.
I mean, you've been there before because you got to volunteer at a different event that we did.
Yes, I did volunteer.
So you've seen it from that side, from that angle, from a volunteer standpoint, which is great. Your classes were amazing. They all came in and they were very active. That's the fun thing. I love asking at the end when we're debriefing, okay, how many of you guys had fun doing this? And every hand shoots up.
Oh.
And then I'm like, okay, how many of you thought you were going to have fun doing this?
Uh-huh.
And all the hands go down.
Oh.
So they come in because they're assigned by a teacher or a leader or whatever that says,
Right.
hey, you have to come in and do this.
Right.
And then they get immersed in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see them walking around like grabbing their hair because they're stressed out because they have to make these big decisions and they don't have enough money left. So it's a really, really cool program.
I wish I had been there.
Something that we did start doing. So we've got what we call Arizona Credit Union Week. And that's a week that we do every year. We're going on our 4th year for that, where Arizona credit unions come together to do community stuff because we are very ingrained in community. The people helping people is the philosophy of credit unions.
Yeah.
And so we decided we wanted it to go farther than just a week every year. And so one of those initiatives that we're doing is this financial education where we will actually bring credit unions from all over the state
Wow.
to have as volunteers at all of these tables. So the organization, if anybody's interested, you don't even have to provide volunteers. We will do all of that for you. All we need is the space, the tables, and some chairs.
Okay, so I want you to come back to my school, so you have to let me know when all that is happening. So
It's happening.
It's
We just put
happening
it on
now.
the schedule. You let me know.
Okay, so I'm going to be contacting you through.
Beautiful.
So what are the main benefits for students and for schools?
So it aligns with the Arizona standards for curriculum, which is really,
Right.
really wonderful. It gives them a little bit more at play than just sitting there and reading in a book or watching a screen.
True.
They actually get to get out and be active and participate. And it's so funny because a lot of times the teachers will tell me like 3 weeks later, hey, I just had a student that came in that always gets Starbucks. And I was like, hey, where's your Starbucks? No, Miss Smith, I'm not buying Starbucks because I need to get this other thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to budget for this other thing. So it actually teaches the kids how to budget in a fun
like
way and without taking all of their joy from them, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to give up Starbucks all the time, but just make your coffee at home for a little bit if you've got a goal that you want to do, especially if you want to buy your first car or move out to your first apartment or build your
gotta
emergency
save.
savings. They get to understand what that's really like and how they can sacrifice now for benefit later.
Okay, so tell us who can participate. What grade level?
There's no specific grade level. It is really tailored from like 8th grade on up, but we've done simulations and I have had somebody as young as 6 years old participate.
Really?
Yeah, that was from somebody whose parent really taught them from an early age. They started doing the save, spend, share very early on. And then I've actually had somebody as old as 67 that's a widow that her husband passed away. And he was the one that always did the finances. She was never a part of it. And so when she saw that we were doing a financial simulation, even though it's geared toward a younger age range, she decided she wanted to come. And afterwards, she was crying and came up to me and said, that was exactly what I needed. I've never done this before. I was so scared. I was so nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Well, that was going to be my next thing. I needed an impact story.
Oh,
so
good.
is that one? Give me one more. An impact story.
Okay, so we used to partner with MCC, Mesa Community College, so we would go out there quite a bit. And they had a student that was in a really rough situation. She was the primary breadwinner for her family. Her parents were ill. Her siblings needed somebody to take care of them. And by going through the simulation and by going through the workshops, she was able to start saving, and she got her family all set up to a point financially where she could go off to NAU and pursue her degree and not have to worry about her family.
Aw, now that's a
so
good
I still talk
story.
to her. Hey, Grace, if you're watching, I still talk to her. But it really is just very impactful, not just for the students, but for the volunteers that get to see how they're changing lives every day.
Okay, so how can schools get involved?
Okay, so we've got azcreditunions.com. On there's a financial education tab where you can fill out a form and it gets emailed. You could also go to truewest.org. Same thing, Financial Resource Center. Fill out the form and it gets emailed. And then I will contact you. We'll discuss logistics and see if it works and schedule you up. And
Can you make sure you
the
text
road.
that to me because I want to put it at the end of the credits for
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
podcast so
Yeah.
people can contact you.
Okay.
Schools, teachers,
Yeah. Nonprofits,
principals,
everybody.
nonprofits.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. That's all I have for you. And I
Okay.
appreciate you coming and sharing this vital information with our listening and viewing audience. And maybe I can have you come back
My pleasure.
in the
I
fall.
would love it. I would love it. It's
right.
my favorite part of my job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It looks like you're pretty good at it too.
I try.
So.
Ready to rise, a new perspective, a higher level.